Good evening. It's 5:15 in the evening, January 21st. It's Wednesday. Still anticipating our big winter storm that's heading our way starting Friday night, lasting into Sunday morning perhaps. And then our extreme cold watch follows after that. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch. Now, we did meet the city. We met this afternoon and talked about a few things. So here are some of the key takeaways. Probably one of the biggest ones that you're going to love to hear. We do have generators and our wells are insulated. And so if the power goes out in the city, you will have water and sewer. So that should not go off. Even if the power does, your water should be just fine. And we've tested those generators. And so everything looks good there. I already shared the post on our Facebook page, but the police department's already talking about if the weather gets bad, Saturday likely is going to be a no travel day. Just don't do it. If you do, you're probably going to be putting yourself at risk, others at risk, and even emergency responders at risk. So even this far out, looking at the forecast, just plan on not traveling anywhere on Saturday, probably Sunday too, maybe even into Monday. All right, so there's that. The fire chief says that they'll have some extra staff ready this weekend in case there are some extra calls that they have to deal with. The Public Works Department will have a phone number. I'll be getting a bunch of phone numbers and links to you tomorrow morning. They're going to have a phone number you can call if there are tree limbs in the streets, or if you have a water leak that's causing a problem. They will have someone on call that can deal with those types of things, and we'll have that number for you tomorrow. So those are all very good things. Now, let's go through the latest runs because the GFS run literally just finished. This is the 18Z run, and we are looking at the ice totals for the storm. This would be Monday at 6Z, so Sunday night, midnight, so everything's going to be done by then. And unfortunately, the GFS has bumped up the ice totals a little bit. Now, the National Weather Service is calling for freezing rain and sleet, and then a lot of sleet and some snow. So, according to the latest GFS run, we're looking at almost a quarter inch of ice accumulation. Now, 0.11 in Sherman, 0.22 McKinney, 0.29 or so for Van Alstyne. Now, this is not exact. This is not exactly how it's going to play out. So hopefully we're on the low end of this 10th, because once you start getting to a quarter inch, that's when it starts weighing down those tree branches and increases that risk for some power outages. I still think there might be, but I think it's more likely there won't be unless the European comes true. We'll get to that. The GFS, I'm sorry, this is the European. So this is the European ice totals, and it's still bonkers. On the latest run, it's just persisting on a widespread area of just massive amounts of freezing rain, over an inch in our area for Sherman, almost 9/10 for McKinney, and if I hover over where Van Alstyne is, we're talking a little bit, just call it an inch of ice. That would be terrible news. So this is hopefully not going to come true. The National Weather Service is not saying this. The National Weather Service is saying some freezing rain and a lot of sleet and some snow. Talking of snow, here we go. This is the GFS putting more snow back in the forecast. So 9 inches for Sherman, 5 for McKinney, and 7 for Van Alstyne. Now you see how quickly this drops off. Again, let's go to our little warm nose map here. If this transition sets up a little further to the north, then we're going to get more sleet and freezing rain. If it sets up a little further to the south, if that cold air gets thicker here, we're going to have more snow. So the GFS is saying, at least compared to this morning's run, that we're going to have a little bit more snow. All right, let's take a look at the snowfall totals for the European. With all that ice, it's only giving us an inch of snow on top of all that freezing rain and some sleet. So again, worst case scenario is European. It's kind of the outlier. That's not the official forecast from the National Weather Service. And the National Weather Service is calling for freezing rain and sleet, and then sleet heavy at times on Saturday with some snow. and then more snow Saturday night into early Sunday morning. So that is the official forecast. But again, up to a quarter inch of ice is probably included in that official forecast. So we're going to be marginal on some of those tree branches coming down and that sort of thing. Then we get to the extreme cold watch that starts Saturday night and lasts longer than that. So let me scroll down a little bit so I can move through this. We're starting at 18Z on Friday, which is noon Friday. 43 degrees Sherman, 42 McKinney. It's raining at this time. And as we go through the afternoon and evening, temperatures start to fall. But even as we hit 32 at about 9 o'clock at night. So this is later onset for the freezing temperatures for our area. But you see, we're kind of in a bubble here. We could fall down to freezing a little bit earlier. The winter storm watch starts at noon. So, 32 in the evening is starting to look like maybe the best bet. And then it just gets bad. Temperatures falling into the 20s overnight. This is 6 a.m. Saturday, low 20s, mid 20s. Low 20s as we go through the day, even teens. So getting colder by noon with temperatures in 19 for Sherman, 21 for Van Alstyne, 23 for McKinney. And Saturday is just going to be cold as we continue with sleet and snow is probably the best bet with that. Temperatures Saturday night at midnight around 20 degrees. And then as we head into Sunday morning, this is 6 a.m. teens. Wind chills will be colder than that. As we go through the day Sunday, this is noon, 19. So it's just that ice is not going to go anywhere, and that snow. It's just going to stick around. The roads are going to be bad. Then we get into Sunday night. This is midnight, 9 degrees in Sherman, 10 in McKinney, and about 10 in Van Alstyne. And as we go through the early morning hours, this is 6 a.m. Monday, 0 in Sherman, 4 in McKinney, and 3 in Van Alstyne. So you get the idea. That's why we have this extreme cold watch. There will be some wind, too. Even a breeze at 3 degrees is going to give you wind chill 5-10 below. So that is the forecast. As we go into the day Monday, jumping up to the low 20s by noon. So still roads probably a mess. The sun will be out. So the sun is going to be using its energy to melt ice and snow. So we're not going to get a lot of help, but the roads may clear up a little bit. But I do believe, depending on how much ice and snow we get on the roads, travel may be discouraged on Monday as well. We only top out in the mid to upper 20s. Then we get into overnight Monday night. This is midnight. We're in the low teens here. As we get into Tuesday morning at 6, 10 degrees in McKinney, 13 in Sherman. And then Tuesday we get into the teens and upper 20s by noon on Tuesday. How about that? 32 degrees by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 33 by sunset, and even 9 o'clock we're right around freezing, just above. And then as we get to midnight, still hanging in the mid-30s overnight Wednesday, but then it gets cold again. So we're not going to get much warmer than mid-30s for the next maybe week. And as I was going through this, I didn't see any 40-degree temperatures on here. In fact, we have another cold shot towards the end of the month if that comes true. So just keep in mind these things. Winter weather is expected starting Friday afternoon at the earliest, most likely around evening time. And the winter storm watch in effect Friday noon through Sunday morning. Again, sleet begins Friday evening, becoming mostly snow Saturday and Sunday morning. So that's for Grayson County, but you get down into Collin County and it's freezing rain late Friday, then mostly sleet Friday night, Saturday, ending with some snow Sunday morning. So we're going to be right on that transition line. So it's going to be touch and go, and really just 60 miles is going to make a big difference. So that's why we're, holding on to. It's really a good chance we're going to have a lot of sleet and some snow. And then how much freezing rain we get is going to be critical. And when's it going to start? Well, probably afternoon on Friday for Grayson County, maybe as late as evening time for Collin, parts of Grayson into Collin County. So again, it's probably going to get pretty serious this weekend. And of course, again, watch for tomorrow morning. I'm going to have a whole bunch of numbers for you, some links for you that you can just hang on to in case you need them. And I'll get that resource to you again in the morning. So we'll have an update for you then. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, don't be scared, just be prepared. I'll see you at HEB probably here in an hour. And don't forget to fill your gas tank too before we get into Friday. All right, reporting for the city of Van Alstyne, I'm Mike Shaw.